Okay, this video is called Moral Toughness and Mental Toughness. If you don't have moral courage, moral discipline, moral toughness, all those moral words, I put them in other videos, okay, then you're like a little kid. How are you tough if you're not mentally and morally tough? And how could you be mentally tough if you're not determined to do the absolute right thing? You know, it's like an idiot, right? It's like a retard banging his head against the wall. Wow, that's mental toughness. He keeps banging his head against the wall. Who fucking cares? You got to work the angles on how to do the absolute right thing, and this absolutely has implications in making love, right? The whole world does not have sex the same way that I do, and they do not do it in a way that is satisfactory to me. Women do not insist on making true love, and so there's no point in me sleeping with them. Okay? They want me to sink to their level or something beneath who I am. Why would you want to make love, quote unquote, you know, because it becomes something else if you're not living in reality, to somebody who wants you to be someone less than yourself? You know, stupid. Morally challenged is mentally challenged. Moral failure, right? Society is, in the governing class especially, are moral failures due to their control freak cowardice. The essence of insanity is found in the mentality of someone that seeks to cut people off from the most logical way to connect to God, the most logical way to understand themselves, and the most logical way to understand why they are here. Okay. The most logical way to look for a loved one is to look to the sun, right? What God has shown man, you know, is given a mental and moral clarity by shining light on the world, shedding light on the topic. Okay. The sun and early man, right? Protection and love. Okay, we say you lose your child and you say, well, the most logical place perhaps is the park. You know, people are like, you can't look at the park, right? You're supposed to fucking kill them. Okay, if they're keeping you from looking for your son in the park, you fucking kill them. If they're keeping you from looking to God in his son, in the top martial arts, you fucking kill him. How could anyone not see it that way? If it is important enough to you and they're keeping it from you, you kill them. Light contact, summon, resurrection, sum on, right? The combined DNA backwards and the sum of on, the inheritor, okay? Horus, inheritance, in haru, tune, see, and tune ka, meaning spirit. Light contact with the sun. The spirit is partially in the sun. When you reach to the sun with a pure heart, the sun symbolically and otherwise weighs your heart. The energy, the chi, the great chi is what you can extract from that. You can then go and connect to the true spirit of God through the sun if your heart is in the right place, if it is true, if it has the accompanying moral code intact and you are in the divine order. Otherwise, you're a crazed fuck trying to rewire your brain to pretend you can at best. You know, people can trigger, you know, they did an experiment that when somebody masturbates, and they trigger the same parts of their brain as having sex. Does that mean they're actually having sex? It's fucking stupid, right? It's fucking retarded. No, it's not the same thing. Neither is it the same thing when you scream me out into live, why rewired my brain, look at me. No. You're not connecting to anything but your own cowardice, arrogance, and ego. You know. Anyway, so relationship with the sun, right? Solar boat. Your relationship with the people who did the same thing the same way, and there's this powerful exchange of energy going on. There's no way that nature and the supernature does not create a gateway by doing it that way. And what we see with God's plan in reverse is they're looking to the earth, they're looking to the moon, lunacy, lunatic, okay, lunar cycle. La lune, meaning the moon in French. All right, so number one, there's three things that come to mind in terms of connecting to God through the sun. The prior moral code and customs of your people, did they do it the same way? And again, that goes back to the people who play, oh, I'm actually Pharaoh. You're not Pharaoh. Only Pharaoh can truly identify with the spirit that's in the sun, the soar, Ra, the source. Ra, the source and the force, the core. Okay, obey and convey. Okay, only Pharaoh can truly identify with the spirit and then bring it into the world and convey it to people. Okay. The Pharaoh, the righteous, the moral, not the snakes who are trying to cheat me out of my rightful place in the minds of people. And I go as far as to say that they've pretty much done it in the minds of people. Okay, moral code, but not in the spiritual world, and not morally, not in truth, not in reality. They live in some kind of mental health, reinvent yourself thong kind of bitch, kind of shallow hippie in nature kind of bitch shit. At best, kind of shallow, fucking childish world. So number one, prior moral codes and customs. Two, the moral code in martial arts triumph. This also shows us why we're right? These people did it. They've been in the repetition of a moral relationship with God, and this guy, Narmer and the Narmer Pound, conquered this guy with moral truth, with what the hawk truly symbolizes, and not what the dynasties who came later, who put on a magic card thong and started waving magic wands and acting like bitches. Okay. So the moral code and the triumph, the righteous indignation, the focused moral intensity that allows you to outmaneuver. I'm focused. You're like, I don't want to admit I'm in the wrong. Nah. Versus I'm focused. Boom, 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 boom. Stab, stab, stab. Stab. Next time, be in the right, bitch. Okay? Wait, there's no next time. Anyway, moving on. Number 3, how we are affected by it and feel. When we do the right thing, how do we feel? When someone treats us fairly, how do we feel? These things are 3 very obvious, beyond logical assumptions, if you ask me, a way to connect to God. Summon, on. The sum on. On is Heliopis Ionu. Okay, Ra's cult center. All those names are, someone else came up with those names, I'm sure. Ra's cult center. The cult center of the source of the sun. Okay, that's why it becomes human trafficking, human raw fucking. That's why Ariana Grande and all these succubi looking females look like a female version of me with a cartoon face and a painted face. Because they are trying to fuck raw, because they are gender neutral type of people that had a bisexual crush on pharaohs. That's part of the reason why they have this particular expression of gender neutral form. Okay. So when we get the words Jews, right, what is a Jew? What are the difference between the Jews, right? Judah, okay? Israel, Israel. Genesis 41:45, the priestess of On, Potiphera, Joseph, right? Joseph, he was in the right and he was where? He was in Egypt. He was in the right and he was where? He was in Egypt. He was in the right, he was where? He was in Egypt. That's how the story goes. And then he married in the spirit of being in the right. Pharaoh said, who is the right person for somebody in the right? And he said, I'm going to give you the priest's daughter of On. It's right there in the own book. Billions of people follow an Abrahamic faith that begins with the Old Testament, and right there, the priestess of On, the priest's daughter, Potiphera, they come together, right? It is a moral matching, similar to my great-grandfather matching my grandfather with his daughter, okay? He said, you are the most morally upright. And now the line, the moral code goes to the moral determinant. Who has the moral high ground, like in Star Wars and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi is backwards as Ebo. In Ebo, it means King Har Temple. He has the high ground. Anakin Skywalker, Haru, Kwa. Okay, squawking, right? Geeking, G, Earth. I'm a geek. Of course he's not the true Pharaoh. Of course the princes of England aren't the true Pharaoh. They're geeks. They're geeking. Oh, I get to marry Meghan Markle. Oh, I'm the prince. They're acting like bitches. Squawking. Remove the S, right? Wordplay. It's a plural. It can be removed. Quawking. What squawks a bird? The falcon. Quaw backwards is awk. The H is the fence. It can be removed. Hawk. The falcon and the hawk. Okay. Of course, these geeks want to be like it, right? Stephen Hawking. Hawk in G. The earth. Okay? Just like the Nazi symbol, it's black. Right? Block, the black. Kill and B. Wordplay. Forwards, backwards. Scramble. Scramble. Crime bull. The S is the plural. Moving on. So we have the Ujoo. The Jew that refuses to obey the moral code of God is a coward. He's not chosen by God, he's chosen by G. Is it G says or is it Ra says? Is it the moral source of the creation, the moral source of the spirit, the moral source, the God, which is the core of the spirit? We're not all God. That's like saying everybody is me because we're related. You're not all me. You are not me. You are not God. God is God, and I am his son. You are disowned for disobeying God. You are kicked out of the family. And people who aren't related to me can be brought into the family by obeying God through me. Becoming part of the body of Christ, like an extension. You do my will, which is God's coming into me, and you are an extension of God, a soldier of God. Anything else is in rebellion. You are put here to understand through nature and otherwise why to serve God. If you don't obey me, you are rebelling against God. If you have sex in the energy of disobedience, you are a rape called bitch. It's simple. Anyway, we use the example of Job. In the book of Job, Job loses his family, if I remember correctly. And if I don't, you can still learn from this story. God eventually rewards him for his discipline, his moral obedience, and gives him a new family. Now stop right there. How does giving him a new family replace his old family? He says his family is even better. They're even more beautiful or whatever. How does that make it up to him? You've killed his family. Only when we look at it from our perspective does it make sense. This is just the flesh. We can connect to the spirit of our family anytime through the divine order. So therefore it makes sense. You give me another family that's more obedient and help me, and I'm connected to them. I'm connected to you. I'm connected to you. I'm connected to my old family, and I'm connected to my new family. You've given me more family. They were never lost. They're with God, and I can connect to God anytime I want. It's the idea in the story list. It's a little bit of twist. It's by bull, it's by ball, but we can extract the morals and truths from it. The only way this story makes sense is that way. If we look at it in terms of G says, and you've taken away my family, they're gone. The world cannot help you connect to the source of God. They're gone. There's no way for you to connect to them. And then you have this new family that makes you, oh gosh, shut, you're geeking, right? G, geek, Greek, geek, G, eek the mouse, a bitch, okay? Oh, eek, squeak, bitches. Okay? All right. Obviously, my intention isn't to destroy good people. Good people obey God through me. It is to get those pussies off of their false ego high horses to obey and to pay the worker his wages. The wages of sin is death. The wages of potent, focused, moral intensity as the top martial artist is they must obey God through you to have life. L-I-F-E. A full. All right. So why is the whole so despicable? Why is the Ujoo so despicable? Okay, let me make sure I got this. Oh man, I left it in the room. Okay, here we go. Page 59, Fighting for Honor. Them in reverse. Okay, let me go ahead and read it. Do I have enough time? I'm running out of time. Okay, let's just shoot through this Ujoo. Let's shoot through this coward. Let's talk about why horrors are so weak. Let's wrap it up. I have to leave some stuff out, but put it in the comments if you really want to know. All right. 59. Okay. The Ephraim or the Euphium. Okay, let's start with these warriors. Last paragraph. These warriors were the products of militarization of their society, reflected in their gendered social hierarchies. For men in these societies, honor and class status were linked to martial valor, creating powerful social pressure on young men to develop into successful warriors. Male youths were not considered full men in the society until they had decapitated worthy opponents with death strokes during justified wars. Not picking on some poor homeless people in the Middle East. Not picking on some Palestinian in their face. Look at my gun, you no-gear bitch. Acting like some white racist colonist or something. Acting like the Nazis, picking on some unarmed person in an alleyway. But in justified wars. Again, I don't agree with everything in this book. Okay, certainly he made, but I agree with, there's certain parts I absolutely agree with. This is one of them. Okay. These Euphium, or honorable warriors, were predominantly men who had taken heads, although the rank could also be given to a male who had similarly killed a leopard. Now, that's a long story, ritual fashion, long story why there is. Euphium alone could carry their machete in leopard skin sheaths and wear Ufi, the color red. The rest of the males who were branded Ujoo, right, backwards, Jew, meaning coward. Now, which Jew are we talking about? It's part of what the Bible's about. I'm the root and offspring of David who showed bravery facing Goliath. Ujoo, meaning coward, were considered to have failed to establish their masculinity. Okay, Okay, we see them on page 5960, brave warriors, most prominent secret of close societies were only for brave warriors. Well, we're out of time.